every Monday, teams begin testing their vaccinated players. If you're unvaccinated, you're tested every day. So they're tested Monday too. But it's the vaccinated. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, thereabouts. That's when we find out who's positive, and more accurately, who played positive yesterday and who possibly had been positive since the day after or the minute after they last had their negative test a week ago. 37 total player positive COVID tests today in the National Football League, Charean. It shows you it's not going anywhere. It shows you it's not dissipating, and it shows you that the NFL continues to be very vigilant about it, even though it's a battle at times. At times, feels like we're losing.
Well, and it also shows you, Mike, that it's still going to affect games. I mean, you look at tonight's games, legitimately, this could affect the Cardinals-Rams game. Jalen Ramsey and Tyler Higbee tested positive today. You look at all the players from that Rams team who are on the COVID list, and they're down players. You look at the Lions yesterday because of COVID and flu and everything else going around their building. This is not going away, and the teams that handle this the best the rest of the way are going to be the teams that we're going to see probably have a better chance to win in the postseason. It's key time. And now we're coming up on Christmas. Hey, we had Thanksgiving, everybody gathered. We had Halloween, we had a little uptick. And then now we're having an uptick after Thanksgiving. Guess what? Christmas is coming. People are going to gather. We're going to have an uptick after Christmas, too. And that's really when it comes into play, Mike, when we start the postseason run right after Christmas.
And this gets back to something we discussed as it relates to Amari Cooper. And he eventually, after we had raised the point, he himself asked, why can't I play while I'm COVID positive? Why can't I play while I'm sick? People play when they have the flu, although he incorrectly cited the Michael Jordan flu game. As we learned in The Last Dance, it was food poisoning, although some think he was hungover. Officially, it's food poisoning that derailed Michael Jordan, but didn't, because he came back and had that great game in the, 97, 98, 90-something championship. Had to be 90-something. They were all in the 90s. Anyway, at some point, not this year, at some point in the life of this pandemic, which is becoming endemic to the population, there will be, I believe, a procedure by the NFL that allows players to play, and that maybe treats them in a way that they're completely separate from other players inside the building, but out in the open, I think that it's going to happen. And someone explained to me a few weeks ago the therapeutic treatment, not the vaccinations, but the stuff you can take and will be taking if you have it, is going to become so effective that it can be neutralized quickly and it won't be an issue. Where we have these random lightning strikes, and we had 37 lightning strikes today that result in players not playing. And as Charean mentioned, it can affect games. I mean, tonight, out of the blue, Jalen Ramsey, Rams corner, out on the COVID list. Tyler Higbee, Rams tight end, out on the COVID list. And in an age of widespread gambling, if you've already put money on the games, I guess the lesson is, Charean, wait until the last minute to put the money on the games. Unless you have some inside information as to who's tested positive for COVID, wait until the last minute, because up until the last minute, a key player could be gone like that.
Well, and especially, Mike, if you have a team that's in the enhanced protocols, because then at that point they have to test every day, and you don't know who's going to test positive the day of the game, even if they're vaccinated. So, yeah, I guess that is the key. And I think you're right. At some point we just kind of, I don't want to say move on from it, but guys play with COVID if they're asymptomatic, and I think that's the key. And Amari talked about that, but then he came back, Mike, and he wasn't breathing right and all that sort of stuff. So it took him a while to recover from that. So I don't know how he could have played with COVID, just from the simple fact that when he finally came back, he didn't look right. Now, he had a big game, and he had a couple big catches. I get that. But he wasn't able to play an entire game with COVID. Just the breathing and all that had been affected by it. So I think that's a key thing, too. Are you asymptomatic? Can you breathe? Can you get out there and do what you need to do over the course of a game? And we all know, the NFL said it repeatedly, they have no evidence that it can be transmitted during a game, and I think that's key.
Yeah, they believed that from day one, that there isn't enough of a confinement in the spaces, even in a dome stadium, for the droplets, for sufficient droplets, a high enough concentration to make it from one person to the next. The Ramsey and Higbee development caused the line to move from 2.5, that's Cardinals minus 2.5, Rams plus 2.5, to 3. as soon as that news broke. So, hey, 2.5, that half point can make a huge difference. Yesterday, the Browns looked like they were easily covering. They won by 2. The line was 2.5, so that half point can be huge. Dolphins, bye week. Apparently, they weren't as careful as they needed to be on the bye. All 3 Miami running backs have COVID. Phillip Lindsay, Myles Gaskin, and Salvon Ahmed. So, now, again, we saw it with T.J. Watt a couple of weeks ago, where he landed on the COVID reserve list on Monday and was able to come back on Saturday, but that usually doesn't happen. Much of it depends upon when they had it, when they got it, how long they've been positive. Maybe they're moving toward the back end of it. But for now, you got 3 guys, all the running backs, so it's going to be next man up, next man up, next man up for Miami against the Jets. And this is a team that, out of sight, out of mind. That's how the bye week works, but they're very much in the thick of things in the AFC playoff field at 6-7. And just another vague, unexpected, out-of-the-blue trio of lightning strikes here. The good news for the Dolphins, they have some time to adjust to it, unlike the Rams, who find out just a couple hours before kickoff they're not going to have one of their best players.
Boy, and that hurts, Mike, because they were already down a corner. They already had Darrell Henderson and a couple other guys on there, and now they have Darius Williams and David Long to stop those Cardinals receivers, who we know are very, very good. They need Jalen Ramsey. They need their best corners out there, and they need more than 2 corners. It's going to take a lot of corners to stop that Cardinals passing game. This hurts. This hurts a lot for the Rams. And like you said, there's just no time to adjust. I mean, it's like, all right, get out there and play. We may have to make some adjustments with our scheme and things that we're asking you to do. But they're calling up guys from the practice squad who are going to play tonight.
The Washington football team has 4 players on the COVID reserve list, including Jonathan Allen. Again, this is the Monday ritual, and it's a strange protocol. It's a strange procedure, and I think that this is another reason why they need to really work on next year's procedure to come up with a way to let guys who may be positive play if they are asymptomatic, because Allen presumably had it yesterday and was playing, was shedding virus around teammates in the locker room, on the field, on the bus. It was a home game, so it's not like they had to fly, but and I don't even know if they take a bus. But regardless, the point is you're around other people a day before you test positive. It's an imperfect system, and they really need to work on it, and they really need to come up with a way to allow guys to play if they have no symptoms, no fever, they can run them through a mini gauntlet of tests, Charean, and say, yeah, even though this guy's positive, he can still play. I think that's the next step in the evolution of this, because the one thing that we're learning is it's not going anywhere.
No, it's not, and we've seen that repeatedly, and the numbers are going up. September and October, they weren't very high, and then after Halloween, they start, and whether that played a part or not, I don't know, but the numbers went up after Halloween into November, and now they're way up in December, and perhaps it's with the weather change too, Mike, more people indoors around other people. And frankly, we've all kind of gotten, when you go out, and do you always wear your mask? Do you always do the right things? And maybe not. So kids coming home from school, all those sorts of things. So there's a lot of ways that you can get COVID. And then once it gets in that building, it spreads around, as we've seen with the Lions and now with the Rams and with some other teams.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.